Hi, I'm Snow, and this is
Gas and Go with Snow. Time to steal the show.
Welcome to another episode of Gas and Go with Snow. I'm here at SEMA 2024, and we were walking around from a Magnaflow party and just happened to see this killer Mustang. So we're walking through a casino, and I see Steve. First of all, so this is Steve Mank. Steve, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Absolutely.
And Chris Sloan. So Chris is on here, the Mustang. So we see you guys in the casino, and you're like, Snow! I was like, Steve! Right? And so it struck up a whole conversation, and then we start talking to Chris. We realized that the Mustang that we were just drooling over was yours.
Yep.
So that's how the whole Gas and Go came about. Now, let me ask you something, Steve. So where did you guys meet?
We met purely because of the car. I think either him and or his wife saw my mug on TV back when we used to do that at Spike, and it went from there. They found me because they were close to me in the center of the country where I live in Tulsa, and off it went.
All right. Hey, so now you saw that, and what prompted you to want to do this, and what was this car? Tell me the history of this car.
So every car has its own journey, right? So originally we had bought the Mustang as a project for myself and my son to work on, but we got bogged down in electrical. I know it never happens.
Right.
And it just never took off, and we were at a point where my wife gave me the ultimatum, like, we either need to punt on this thing, get it out of the garage, or we're going to do something with it. And so we had a lot of talk, and we said, well, let's just make something special. And right about that time, I saw Steve's mug on the television, and said he was from Oklahoma. I was like, all right. And so I gave him a ring. And he called me back 3 weeks later and said, this is Steve Mank. What's going on?
I wasn't mean, that's just my voice, as you know.
So let's talk about this vehicle, though.
Okay.
All right. Now, first of all, what color is it, and how did you come to that decision? And I really want to talk about these stripes. So let's start with the color.
We didn't want to have a trailer queen. We wanted to be able to have something we could use. We wanted to be able to drive it. And we wanted to have something that was a little bit different. Just a nod to the classics, but still something a little bit special. And we wanted to be able to move away from traditional colors, and we settled on silver, much to Steve's chagrin and advice.
So you weren't on board.
I love silver. I mean, okay, look at the reception the car's gotten. I love silver.
No, totally.
Here's
Great.
what goes with silver.
All right.
A ton of respect and maintenance. If something happens to silvers and golds, you don't get to blend it and match it and fix it. You get to paint complete panels and hope that the tone is the same, because metallics like silver and gold never lay the same.
Yeah.
You could have the same formula and it will not lay down the same.
Okay. Let's talk about these stripes and the hood, because my understanding is there's something special about this hood.
Yeah, well, we did one of the first modifications we thought of, and it's nothing big. It's just that a lot of the stripes on the cars that everybody built, because they use what they have, would go, no matter where they send off to, we'll start at the nose of the car and come up over it. Well, we got the idea. I love the scoops on the 67 only hood, which is what this is. Let's take the skin off the 66 hood, take a skin off of 67, transform it, get it to fit, and we'll start the stripes in the scoops so that it's not all the way to the front of the car, and bring it out.
Okay.
It worked out absolutely fabulous, but because of the level of car that Chris and his wife wanted, if you take a look underneath the hood, you'll see that we also swapped the inner skin so that it doesn't look like it was cut. The skeleton underneath and the support underneath is also the 67.
So all this stuff looks like the stock hood.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would see cut edges, like where if somebody would have put a scoop on a car or something like that. But we also use the inner so it looks like it's never been touched. And it's really neat, because some guys come up that know Mustangs, and they'll go, oh, this is 67, and they go, this is not a 67.
Wait a minute, there's something that doesn't match.
Yeah, this didn't start here. And that's the kind of stuff that's fun, though. When people see those modifications, it's fun to watch. They're like, wait a minute, you know.
Okay, so the crown jewel of any vehicle is what's under the hood. So let's talk a little bit about this motor here. Like I said, to the untrained eye, you look at this and you see what looks like a carburetor, but that's actually fuel injected. So there's a little more than meets the eye here. So tell me, what's with the Sloan Racing? Tell me a little bit about the background here. What happened?
We let him do his thing.
Okay.
And one of those pieces that he wanted for us to see in the car the first time was this Sloan Racing. He had that created, and etched onto those pieces, and it was so cool. It was just a unique piece. He's like, you know, we've been doing this a long time. I got a couple of surprises for you. We had a long discussion about, do we want to go carb? And that was an immediate no. And we had discussions for a brief moment about putting an 8-pack on there because that would look really neat. But he brought us right back to the core of the build is we want it functional, we want it usable. And so after a lot of discussions, we decided on the EFI and wanted to still have that air filter because that's such a central part of the engine, you know?
It makes it, that's the classic look. And then, now I'm noticing here, I see, that looks like a March Serpentine setup. That's a pretty nice front runner you got there. So, looks like you got a high amp alternator, and one of the things I was noticing is, I'm looking at the suspension and the connection, so it looks like it's Mustang 2, but I remember Steve said that he ordered the kit not welded together. So he established his own geometry under there.
So what we did early on, we knew that the shock towers don't allow for a lot of beef underneath the hood, and those had to go. And it's just logical to go with the Mustang 2. The Mustang 2. And we looked around, and we wanted to find something that, you know, at that point, dollars were a little lean. So we wanted to find something that we could actually purchase and still have the ability to support a car if we pushed it. And when we got a sway bar that was an inch in diameter, everything else was that same level of sturdiness. When that suspension was put in, we're like, you know what? We really have to highlight the bay. And so we had the custom inner fenders done.
I noticed the custom inner fenders, right? And then I see the bead rolling there, so, and the smooth firewall. So there's no details been spared. This is a really impressive build.
And one of the other pieces which was neat to watch in the process is when they put it on the rotisserie and they filled all of the holes on the bottom of the car, and then they sprayed the bottom of the car to make it a little bit more soundproof and a little bit of, you know, roadworthiness. It just made, you know, just all of those little nuances.
Just the little details.
Together made it such a special car.
Tell me, what's the deal with the Emblem? What is that?
You know, this Emblem was a surprise. When I saw the car for the first time on Monday, that was on there, and Tanya found that and said that needs to go on the car. And so she put her own little signature on it. She found that and just said it needed to be part of the car. It's unique, it's different, and it's still got the nod to classic, but it's just a sharp looking piece. And these are, you know, these were water jetted out. The grills were the top and the bottom valence. And again, you have to have a grill, but let's make a nice one.
You got your own custom accents on it, and I like it.
And those are all,
I'm guessing these are some of the sponsors that help make the car come together?
Absolutely. And, you know, we got the kicker stereo system in there, and it's just phenomenal. They're based out of Stillwater and been there forever. And, you know, a car made in Oklahoma, they knew they had to be a part of it. And so they put that in the back end. And it's just been, a lot of good partnership, a lot of good friendships along the way. And I think that's what makes it special.
Before we talk about how you did it, let's talk about why you did it. Every time I hear about, well, this changes, your name comes up. So tell me, I don't want to hear from them, I want to hear from you. Tell me how this became a Fastback.
I've always wanted a Fastback, and I figured since we're throwing money at this, might as well make it into a Fastback. It just was sexier than the Coupe. I almost caused you a heart attack when I said I wanted a Fastback, right? So.
Okay, now, how was the Fastback idea received by you?
We were just going to make it a really nice Coupe, but about 2 months later,
surprise to me,
Roshana tells me, she's like, well, I thought we were making it a Fastback.
And you're like, okay, well, I guess we're making it a Fastback.
I could read the cards, and Steve, we're making it a Fastback.
So what was the actual time frame for the build? How long did it take from acquiring the vehicle, pushing it in? So what was the time?
We bought the Coupe in 2006. When we actually contacted Steve, it was more 2011. Steve's journey was 13 years. Everything here has a story behind it, and it's just really neat to have been able to watch the whole thing kind of piece together and learn.
And I want to give these guys some thanks. By no means does any build ever take that kind of time. If people's reaction to the statement Chris just made would have went, "Oh my God, what?"
Yeah.
But life has its stuff, life gets in the way. And we both had things that were going on that stopped the build for a while, but I want to thank these guys for staying with me and giving me the extra years, not the extra time, the extra years to let me finish what we started, even though I held them up for more than double what that thing should have taken to build.
Well, you know what? Looking at the finished product, you guys made the right call. So let's move on to the back of the car here, and let's check out some more of these accents. So I noticed, if you look at the door handles, I noticed you got, you know, a modern door handle assembly here. So what other features did you change on what would have been a typical Mustang?
We put in flush mounted glass, and that one, aesthetically it looks good.
Yeah.
But what, unbeknownst to me, was the amount of body work that it takes to actually make flush mounted glass look right. And it was one of those, Steve would say, "Hey, body shop needs another donation." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Well, didn't we just do this?"
There was times when Chris didn't like me. But
well, what you can see
I think he likes you now.
What they had to modify with the very precision cuts that they made on the roof just to fold it around and make that arc
we needed the
perfect
continuous flow arc.
It was it's just amazing.
And the windshield.
And you'll a traditional fastback will have a little bit of a little squareness to it.
Yeah,
and this is round and soft, and that's one of those little pieces.
So that's a custom-made piece of glass in the back there.
There's a company that just started making a few real popular models. The glass, and it is glass, it's not acrylic, is larger in both directions on both the front and rear windshields, which gave us a little bit, not easier, but better window to do the stuff Chris was just talking about, to where we could make it a continuous arc, to where we could lay it in, to where it actually appeared to be round.
Yeah.
As a start.
And the whole glass follows the contour of the car.
Do that with the stock dimension glass. Yeah.
Paul was pretty instrumental in the final design of the car, and did a series of renderings with some variants with the stripes diving out of the 67 vents down the sides. And it's through his ideas that we were able to kind of figure out what really resonated with this car. Each one has its own personality, and Paul really brought that to life.
Tell me a little bit about your process and how you came to do these renderings.
I draw cars for people, cartoon, caricature stuff. Went on and done a few lifestyle drawings of cars. And then Steve turned around to me one day on a Zoom chat and said, got a 66 Mustang I'm thinking of building. This is a picture of it, and at the time it was just the car in red oxide. So there was no front end on it at all. We just basically backwards and forwards, loads of emails, loads of pictures, until we got the shape right.
So what was your impression when you saw the car in person?
Blew me away.
I mean, because this is your idea. I mean, this masterpiece was built off of your idea and your drawing. So, yeah,
it's for someone who comes from England, you know, I'm 5,000 plus miles away. To crack it over here is a big step. A lot of people try to get into doing this from England, and I find it quite a huge achievement on my part. You know, it's all my legwork, but with a lot of help from Steve Mank.
All right, well, hey, you know what? I just thought that was a big piece of how the car came together, and I just wanted to, hey, thanks for helping out, because like I said, look at all the people around and all these people that have stopped by to see this car, and it's largely because of how you laid it out, and these guys decided to go with that drawing. Okay, so all right, we're here in the inside of the Mustang, and I'm looking, and it looks like, this looks almost exactly like the Dakota Digital that I have in my Impala.
That is exactly what it is.
It's Dakota, okay, so Dakota Digital, and I love the way you have the paint and the suede, but it's very minimal but classy. So tell me what made you do this with the interior. Why'd you go this way instead of just going over the top? Because clearly the car is over the top. So why go this way?
So the whole theme from the beginning was to keep things classic, but just kind of refine it a little bit. And Eddie Potestio out of Pueblo did our interior, 100% custom from scratch. And we talked through ideas. We looked at different ways to do the accent stitching, the leather, what type of seats to put in. And when we looked at originally trying to draw the body colors into the interior, we were looking at using the silver as an accent for the thread,
for
and
the
it was
stitching?
just too much. It just looked like it was tried to do white, and
And
then when they borrowed the charcoal color from the striping and put it in there, it was just right.
That was it.
And Eddie was able to take those little nuances and just use his creativity to put the nods and the classic pieces together and bring it all into one piece, and it's just amazing to look at.
Well, right down to the half wrap, this is not, I mean, it's classy, but it looks modern. And then I'm looking at the door handles, and you got the leather inset, right? And then looking at the stitching, you can see the gray stitching, right? And then I like the dual pattern here where you have like the suede or the brushed leather with the smooth leather. I mean, everything looks good. And then it looks like you got some sounds here. Now, does you got air conditioning? And
that's it. We got Resto Mod air in this. That was one of the requirements of my other half, that if we are going to drive this.
So the boss said there's going to be air.
A lot of directions, subtle directions.
The subtle directions. It better have air. I wonder what she means.
And one other thing, if you look at the roof, we've got, instead of just having a little single dome light, those LEDs light up from front to back.
Full strip all the way down. That's pretty cool.
All the lighting inside the car, all the lighting inside the car is all haloed, and even in the door panels, when you open it up, it actually glows blue, but you can't see any definitive light bulbs or light leads. It's all haloed to where it just glows.
Well, there's no question why you guys have been so busy all week. Now, this is literally the third time I've seen the car, and it's the third location I've seen the car.
Welcome to why the builder hasn't seen SEMA yet.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? This is an awesome build. This is a phenomenal car. And gentlemen, first of all, thank you for taking the time to do this. Steve, I know you are busy.
Absolutely.
And this is an exquisite build. I love it. Every detail that we've talked about is spot on. And I like the fact that you guys started with something that wasn't even a running car. The picture, I mean, it's sitting in a field. And you brought this thing back to life. And this car, this 60-year-old car, will be on the road for another 60 years because of what you did.
I want to say one more thing before we end, because like on Chris's half, where his wife was involved in everything, I've got to give Tana, my wife, who you know, a shout out. You talk about girls in our industry. Tana works with me in the shop every day. She's part of the business. She doesn't have another job. The last 3 months of this build were such a push. We literally spent, except for a couple of personal appearances I had to make out of town, 10, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 months to come to SEMA exhausted, but finished and ready.
Yeah.
And it worked out. I mean, it's been phenomenal.
Well, it's no secret. Dude, I love your wife. When we were walking in the casino, she was like, oh, I wanted to come and hug you, but I wasn't sure if that was you. No, she is great. And the fact that you guys are a team really is a testament to how this build came out.
Yeah.
And you guys too. Because if she wasn't on board, right, if your wife wasn't on board, the project, it becomes cumbersome, it becomes a chore, and this was more of a labor of love because you guys work together. So, hey, again, thanks for showing it to us. I will see you guys next time on Gas and Go with Snow.
The king of the streets got the swagger, oh my. First shot he needs to do with a low rider machine. Cherry red paint, chrome wheels they gleam. Snow pulls out his camera, ready to roll. Gas and Go with Snow, time to steal the show.
Hey, we're always having a good time.
It's always good.
Oh, yeah, buddy. If you come to SEMA and can't have a good time,
Yeah, you're doing
there might
something
be
wrong.
some therapy involved.